Have you ever heard of someone who seemed to just pull genius out of thin air? We're talking about a mathematician who, with practically zero formal training, turned the entire field on its head. His name was Srinivasa Ramanujan, and his story is just incredible.
And that's really the big question, isn't it? How does a clerk from a small town in India, with almost no access to the academic world, create work that would absolutely stun the greatest minds at Cambridge? Well, let's dive in and find out.
To understand this wizard, we have to go back to the very beginning. And his story doesn't start in some grand university lecture hall, but in a small town in southern India, where this unbelievable mind was just starting to see the magic in numbers.
Ramanujan came from a very modest background. And from a super young age, while other kids were out playing, he was completely captivated by math. It was more than just a subject for him. It was like this deep, almost mystical connection to numbers that made him different from literally everyone else.
And this fascination? It wasn't something he learned in a classroom. Nope. It turned into this intense, solitary journey. With no teachers, no mentors, Ramanujan had to basically invent his own path into the deepest parts of mathematics.
The whole thing started with one book. But you have to understand, this wasn't your average textbook. It was this super dense collection of thousands of theorems with almost no explanations. For most people, it'd be totally impossible to understand. But for Ramanujan, it wasn't a lesson. It was a key that unlocked his own universe of ideas. And from that one book, he started creating his own original work.
His life was tough. I mean, really tough. He actually had to drop out of college because of money problems, but that didn't stop him. While working as a clerk, he filled notebook after notebook with thousands of formulas, ideas that were decades, sometimes a century ahead of their time. These became the legendary Ramanujan notebooks.
So, for years, this incredible mind was working in complete isolation. But then, in 1913, everything changed. He decided to take a huge chance and reach out to one of the most famous mathematicians in the entire world.
He mailed a letter stuffed with his formulas all the way to G.H. Hardy at Cambridge University. Just try to picture it. Hardy, this top-tier academic, gets a letter from some unknown clerk in India, and it's filled with math that looks like nothing anyone had ever seen before.
Hardy was just blown away. He and his colleagues looked at it and realized pretty quickly this wasn't some random amateur. This was a genius of a completely different order. That one letter became Ramanujan's ticket from total obscurity to the absolute center of the mathematical universe. Hardy knew he had to bring him to Cambridge.
And his years at Cambridge? It was like a creative explosion. Ramanujan finally had someone who could understand his language, who could challenge him. But this amazing period of achievement came at a terrible, terrible price.
Together, he and Hardy made these revolutionary breakthroughs. And this wasn't just abstract stuff.